Today I'm going to show you how to make this beautiful cutting board stand using scrap wood. It's a profitable and fun project. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the shop, everybody. Today I'm working on a new project. I have a design for a cutting board stand that I think is really nice. It's sleek, it's kind of curvy, kind of sexy, and it doesn't use much material. We all struggle with finding different ways to use scrap material like this, and I'm going to show you how to make this one. It's super easy, doesn't take much time, and I'm going to have some templates available for you to buy if you're interested. Let's get into it. So I took my piece of scrap walnut, which came from one of my cutting board projects, and I just ran it through the drum sander. They had a couple of little imperfections, and I wanted to make sure that that was handled more easily with the drum sander than the oscillating sander. And now I'm going to take my template and just scribe all the way around it. I love finding ways to use scrap wood. You know, these have been good sellers for me, so there's a tip for you. People really like them. Okay, so I've got the one there. Now I'm going to do an inverse, like so. Let's see what that looks like there. All right. And from here, you have the option of using a jigsaw. I'm going to use my bandsaw because I have it and I prefer it. Okay. There you have it. So let's take it over to the bandsaw and we'll blast this out. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to work this fast? That happens really quick. Now, as you can see, my game plan was to cut about an 1/8 inch outside of my line, and I'm pretty close to that. I'm maybe a little fat right there, but overall, I'm pretty good. And I want to do that because I don't want to have so much material that when I use my flush trim bit, it won't be able to cut that very well. In fact, it might get some kickback or do some chip out. So we don't want to make that tool work overly hard. So what I'm going to do from here is I'm using double-sided tape to adhere the template to my piece of wood. So let's do that next. I'm a huge fan of using templates in my business. It makes my life easy. It makes things fast, and fast is important. So what I'm going to do is apply my double-sided tape. I'm going to show you a fun little tip. Okay. So I've got this handy little tool. It's kind of like a dental pick almost. And what I do is I use it to grab the double-sided tape. Usually it works pretty well. Otherwise, when you're using your fingernails, man, it can be frustrating. Okay, so what I'm going to do is lay this over the top. And again, I want to make sure that I have about an 1/8 inch all the way around. That's looking good. Perfect. Give it a hefty squeeze. So I'm going to do that to the second piece, and then we're going to go over to the router table and fire up that flush trim bit and get it done. Today I'm going to be using this flush trim bit from Speed Tool. It's a downcut bit. There we go. Let's open it up. So basically, you've got this cool bearing on top, and it just rides along the surface of my template, and then my cutting portion is down below the template. So this is brand new. I'm going to get it in the router table. The one I have on there right now, I've used heavily over the last 2 months. It's starting to get dull. So it'll be a joy to use a brand new bit. I don't think I've ever shared before, but I do use my personal protection, my ears. I've got my eyes on, and I do wear a mask when I'm working around the dusty stuff. You can hear my voice is a little messed up right now. I've got a sinus infection, which is probably due to a little too much dust. Okay, so I'm going to fire this up. We don't want to start on the end grain. We want to start on the side grain. That's going to prevent that kickback, that chipping. which will ruin the project. So here we go. Keep a close eye on those fingers. You are working in the danger zone. Well, that new flesh trim bit was awesome. It was like a hot knife through butter. Check that out. Just perfect. Beautifully smooth. Going to be very little sanding to do on that. Okay, so what I need to do is separate the template, and I'm just going to use a putty knife. They usually come up pretty easy, like so. And now what I'm going to do is go back to the router table. I'm going to switch bits. I'm going to use a round over. It's got the bearing on top, so it just runs right along the edge like so. But that round over gives it a nice elegant look. And again, it adds to that sleek, stylish, curvy look that we're trying to achieve. If you're liking the content, hit subscribe. Well, I'm liking the results. It looks really pretty. It's very nice and rounded. It's got sleek lines. I think it's going to be perfect. I know my client's going to be very happy. The next step is we're going to drill a 3/8-inch hole down in between the two. We'll stack these and mount them on my benchtop drill press. And that's because we've got to get this dowel in between it. So let me set up the drill press and we'll tap that hole. Okay, well, hopefully my arm isn't going to get in the way so you can see. Okay. So that's perfect. Now what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to have to sand this edge, both sides actually, because this is a compression fit between the two sides here. So we'll do that next. Well, the fastest way that I've found to sand these dowels is to take a little bit of blue tape and this way it protects the wood. In fact, I'm going to put 2 layers down just because. And then I'm going to get this hooked up into my drill. Okay, so I've got some 120 grit sandpaper here, and all I'm going to do is just go ahead and sand like this. It doesn't take very long for it to happen. Obviously, I don't want to over sand, but ultimately, we'll get this nice compression fit. I've got a little more sanding to go, and I'll do that off camera. The dowel fits perfectly, so I'm going to go ahead and disassemble this and sand it. I'm going to start at 120. I'm going to go up to 220, and we'll call it done. I'll apply a finish. We'll come back when we're going to do that. I've sanded up to 220 grit. It's beautiful. It just feels great in the hand. So it's time to apply my secret weapon, which is the board butter that we make here. You can find that in the show notes. I sell it through Etsy. And let's see what it looks like. So I'm very generous about applying this because I want it to soak into the wood deeply. And I typically do a couple of coats. Isn't that pretty? What a difference between the two, huh? Nice. Okay, well, let's finish this up. We'll wrap up the video. I'm going to tell you how to find the templates that we discussed. I do sell these now, and it'll make your life a little more simple in creating these. I'm going to give you another tip, though. I've had great success in selling these as an upsell. When I sell a cutting board, I'll give people the option of buying this, buying the board butter, and you'd be surprised at how many times people were okay to upsell, upgrade their order, if you will, and get all the extra goodies. All right. Back in a minute. Well, this turned out really nice. Easy project, I love using scrap wood. I'm making money from scrap. I like that. And these are good sellers. So there you go. Now, I did mention templates. I have a pair of ash templates, and they'll be listed in the show notes. And along with the templates, I'm also going to have a bottle of board butter for you. It's $28, and I'll have a link so it goes directly to my Etsy store. I think you're going to love it. So thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Hit the subscribe button, hit that bell. You get all the notifications. I've got some really cool stuff coming up in 2025. So hang in there. We got some fun things to do. We'll see you next time.